Yo, JD here, Tyrrell Lewis, and as you can see, we are back with career mode again. 4 episodes in 4 days here, and that's because I've actually been really enjoying it. Surprisingly, actually giving myself a real go at this for once. I'm actually enjoying it so much more than I thought. And this episode here today is definitely the best one I've done so far, definitely the most fun I've had so far. And I'm just showing you my R&D tree, what I've done at the moment. We don't really have any resource points other than the ones I spent after like the first race, which actually come into effect for this race. I think our front wing, we have a little bit more aero this race, which you'll be able to see soon, but we don't really have any points to spend really at the moment. They've got some ones we could do for instantly there, regards to the wind tunnel, but I wasn't really interested in doing that. But we've actually spent some on durability. It's pretty much the only thing we could buy. So we've done it for that one, but we'll be moving on shortly just to see what upgrades are actually coming in. As you can see, vehicle management got quite a bit of wear on some of the components. Not too much wear. I'd say once it gets 60 to 70, that's when I think about changing it. But at the moment, haven't changed any parts currently. But as we can see here, or listen to him, we have some upgrades that have actually come in. So we'll be able to see new part fitted, front wing, main wing plane, or main plate, if I can read that, which gives us a little bit more aero, weight reduction as well, which is definitely going to help. So basically aerodynamics and chassis improvement, what we've got here, and durability as well for just general wear should be a slight improvement as well, which is good. But moving on to Sochi, which I've actually got in AOR tomorrow. So I've done a little, fairly familiar with this track as I've been doing it a little bit recently myself. But in the dry here, trying to go for a good lap, and hopefully these upgrades should maybe get a better position than we have done. I think P12 is the best we have done so far. I think that was at China, but that was a pretty twisty track, and as I said, that's a track that I feel really good at. So this track is, I wouldn't say it's one of my best, but I wouldn't say it's not my worst either. I'd say it's just an average pace kind of track for me. But this lap here going pretty well so far, using all the track, much of the track as possible to try and squeeze out all the time. And the setup will be showing just before I start the race, but I think it's at 4-3 wing with 7 ballast, so straight line speed, but with the 7 ballast just to give it a little bit of rotation. But through here you're on full throttle for pretty much most of the lap really. It's quite a I'd say it's quite a power dominant kind of track really. So going through this, just finishing the second sector here, this is one of my favourite corners in F1. So sweep out and then come back in, braking in a straight line, middle of a track. That's when we'll be turning in just before the shadow, going up into the gears, up into 5th gear for this corner. As you pass the black box, going under 3rd gear, middle of a corner, that's your turning in point again, late apex 4th gear, and then going up into here now, look for the black box on top left hand side. As you pass that, that's when we're braking, really trying to attack these corners with early apexes, because you gain a lot of time squiggling out to line. And we've done a 36.4, which was enough for P13, so just one off our best qualifying position, only 2.3 seconds behind the leader as well, Lewis Hamilton. So pretty good qualifying, couldn't have really gone too much faster than that, maybe a 10th or so, which would have got us in 12th. But as you can see, it's a wet race, and I love the wet in this game. It's probably my favourite game for the wet. And you can see this is the setup I'm running here today. And this is good news for us as well, because driving in the wet really cancels out just the power advantage that other cars have. And even, yeah, well, the chassis and aero will definitely help in the wet, but I feel it's quite a lot about the driving in the wet, of the raw skill of the actual driver. So we've got to take the most of this opportunity. 4 lights, 5 lights, and away we go now, trying to get a good start here. And we, as I said, we've got to really try and maximise this as possible, because I feel if it was dry, we wouldn't have been able to do as well. Our potential wouldn't have been as good, as we've already been squeezed by Kvyat on the left right hand side. He squeezes it. We're going to try and squeeze it back, but he's actually dived down the inside. We've gone past 3 cars, and he's done a torpedo, which he did in real life around here in the Red Bull. But we've actually followed him through up into 9th place, so we've gained 4 positions at this point. So following Kvyat through as we're breaking ever so slightly, because we haven't not done the wet round here yet. Even in practice for AOR, I haven't done the wet round here yet. So this is new to me as we're actually banging on wheels, but we've made a really bold move down the inside. Saw that the door was open And I'm really keen after last race to try and bounce back, because last race I feel we drove a decent race, but coming home in P15, I was a little bit disappointed of that. So this, in the wet conditions, which are my favourite, we're really got the red mist down, and we're really going to try and charge. We'll go down the inside of Hulkenberg, so leaving the door open, he gives us room in the inside, and that's us into 7th place now, so 7th from 13. An amazing start at the moment, and this is really good. And we've got Ricciardo ahead of us, and now let's just see how fast we can actually go in the wet. Let's see what our pace is really going to be looking like, because as I said, in the wet, power, the engine is definitely not as important as it is in the dry. But you can see braking here, a little bit of a lock up here, so still trying to adapt to the track slightly. We don't really know how much grip there actually is on the track at this point, but really trying to force the car. I remember driving this race, I was really just forcing the car to go where I wanted it to go. Someone's actually gone off, I think that's Perez has gone off. And now we're actually in 6th place now, so 6th from 13, making up 7 positions. That is a really good start here, and I was actually sweating at this point. I wanted to try and keep this up, because this would be an amazing result if we could do this. But now, moving on to lap 4, we have not got the pace of the Red Bull, but you can see our engineer says we're on the right tyre at the moment, despite rain actually starting to ease in the next 10 minutes. So we're in 6th place. We've got a gap ahead of us, Ricciardo. He's just quicker in that Red Bull, and we've got a decent buffer-ish behind us. We made some positions up on the start, but I feel we actually deserve to be in this 6th place. We're driving fast enough to warrant our position in this 6th place right now, and we managed to maintain. Hulkenberg hasn't gone anywhere near us, as the safety car has actually come out here now, so someone has gone off. I'm not sure who that is, but now someone's gone off. So we've got a second safety car in 2 races now, and now we're cruising back up to the back of Ricciardo, so we managed to catch him up under the safety car, and Hulkenberg has actually overtaken us, and we weren't even that far behind, and now we've got a warning saying that we have to let him back past again, and it's a repeat of what we had at China. And to be honest, I think people explain to me what the glitch is or what happens, but I feel that is really unfair, because we actually slowed down. We weren't miles behind him, as Kvyat is actually trying to overtake us as well through the inside of our car. So I don't know what is happening with safety cars in this game with me, but anyway, we've got to focus back on the race, as some people are actually pitting for intermediates now, as we actually going deep, missing our braking spot. But some people are actually pitting for inters, because the rain is really starting to ease now, and the track is getting less and less grippy, and we've got to just push as hard as possible. And I didn't go into the pits then, because I knew there'd be so many people pitting, and being the Sauber, the last car on the grid, would probably be jumped as we were at China, or not China, Bahrain. So I learnt my lesson from that, and I continued for an extra lap, trying to push as hard as possible, making a little bit of contact with the walls. So luckily there's no damage there. But now going into the pits, and it's crucial that we don't get held up. I was praying that we didn't get held up, and I was trying to create as much of a gap as possible to Hulkenberg behind us. I believe that's Hulkenberg, or Palmer actually behind us. So I was really trying to do that. So let's see now. Let's see how quickly we do this pit stop. So as I said, normally it's sub 3 seconds. So let's see. It is 2.8 seconds, and we've actually managed to jump quite a few cars. We've actually managed to jump Bottas, so that is a perfect pit stop, because that's also the risk of being the first car in the pits. You're going to get held up from people going into the pits. There's nothing you can do, and we've actually come out in 7th place again, and this race is just working out really well for us at the moment. So that pit stop was absolutely perfect compared to what we had at Bahrain. It's pretty much a roles reversal around there. I think we jumped that three or so positions in that pit stop. We can see intermediates now, so we've got to get used to this tyre, and I think we're going to stay on board for the rest of this lap just to see how well we can get used to this. But I really love these conditions where it's pretty much an unknown, and you've really just got to kind of feel the car going around the track. That's why I really enjoy the way it feels like you kind of have to. It sounds super gay, but you really have to like make the car kind of dance around the track. You may have to make it quite float around the track. You just really have to feel the slide and everything, and that's what I really enjoy, just being able to go on those limits and just seeing how far you can actually push. And this is got to brake probably about 20 meters or so earlier than you would in a dry. Trail braking is very crucial around here, which we will hopefully, let's look at the indicator at the bottom right, see on the next corner. So it should be a good example of trail braking here. So going around, outright wide, and not even 100%. We could see about 50% for most of that corner. So we weren't even 100% brakes then, because if you did, you'd probably lock up. So it's all about just getting that feeling, getting into that rhythm, which is really, really important. And that's what we're going to try and do now. We've had a little bit of a practice in the wet, but moving on to intermediates, these are going to be a little bit of a grippier tyre, so we've got to adjust our braking, adjust our mindset throughout the corners now. And now I wanted to be really, really aggressive, because I could see we've actually started to catch these cars ahead of us. So I don't know who's at the front of this train, but whoever it is, they're holding up Vettel and Ricciardo, and I could sniff a couple positions here. And if we could do that, then that would be an amazing result around here, considering we haven't really had any upgrades apart from a front wing, and just the weight change in our car as well. As Vettel is actually being held up, and we're going to go down the inside of him there. I'm thinking of Hulkenberg as well, which is actually Verstappen ahead of him, and we managed to overtake Sebastian Vettel, so we're into 6th place in this Grand Prix. And we've got Hulkenberg ahead of us, who we were keeping at bay at the start of this race. So I feel he's there for the taking. In terms of Verstappen, I think he's really out of question, because we can see how quick that Red Bull is, and I believe they're actually the quickest car, or actually I think Ferrari are, and then Red Bull in terms of actual standings. So I don't think we're going to really be challenging him. But Hulkenberg, I really did feel that he's definitely within reach here. So we've just got to focus on getting on traction in a straight line. So going out of here now, try and avoid the curbs on the exit. Do not accelerate on the curbs itself. Make sure you're in a straight line before getting on full power. And now let's see, no DRS of course, and wet conditions. And now we're going to come up to behind Hulkenberg, and let's see that sweeping into this here now. Braking in straight line, trail braking really nicely, 3rd gear. Short shifting in 4th gear for this, just to really avoid the wheel spin. Gives you good traction here, but being very, very cautious. Still dirty air is definitely an effect around here, even in the wet, so you still have to be very, very assertive. 4th gear through here as well. Getting a better exit here, we can see how much of a better exit we actually got. So 6th gear, going down to here now, early apex to take as much curb as possible. And now let's see, our straight line speed should be reasonably good, especially with these wings we're using as well. Going up in through the gears now, rich mix, no DRS, but we're still going to get some sips in here. So let's see, we're actually starting to close in them, and going to this first corner, we should be making a move now. He does a little bit of a dummy down the inside, but we're just going to outbrake him. Going down the inside, leaving a little bit of room, but there's actually a little bit of contact between us, and he's actually still on our inside at this point. So go leave him some room on the inside. You can see how much more aero he's actually got, but we're still trying to attack him, going around the outside, going to his next corner, really forcing ourselves down the inside. He tries to go around the outside, but it doesn't work out for him, and that is us into 5th place in this Grand Prix, as we'll be able to see from a third person's perspective. Going down the tier now, really just forcing our hand. First car ahead going into the corner, taking the racing line. There's nothing really he could do there. And we've managed to maintain that into 5th place now. And he's actually got to hold up Vettel. So now it's really important that we get away from him for as long as he can keep Vettel behind. If we can put a little bit of a gap, because there's only 2 laps of the race to go. If we can just put a little bit of a gap, we may just about be able to hold on to 5th place in this Grand Prix. So braking at this curve now. Really important to get a good exit of this now, which we do. We get a really, really nice exit, and we're actually starting to pull away already. So we're going to stay on board for the end of this lap just to see how much we can pull away. But you can see on the mini map, we're already putting definitely a few car lengths between us. So you can see going to here, never 100% on the brakes for this, and never going fully 100%. Going about 70%, just doing a trail braking for that really nicely. 4th gear through here, going up into 5th, and I think we'll go holding it through 4th again, which we do. I find 3rd in the wet through there just really kind of unsettles the car. So 4th gear, we both of these corners, as our teammate has actually gone out of the race. So it's a bit of a shame for him. He's really not having a good season so far in compared to us. But now coming off this last corner, important to get a very good exit now, because we want to create as much gap as possible between myself and Hulkenberg. And you can see in the minimap we really are pulling away. So our pace is looking really good in the wet, but we've actually skipped on to the last lap now, because we've managed to basically maintain that gap, as Vettel hasn't been able to get past. So I really don't know what's happened to him. But going through the last corner now, and we're going to take our best result of the season. We're going to come home in 5th place in this, and I didn't expect that after qualifying, but as soon as I saw it was actually wet for the race, I knew that we definitely had a chance to make up a lot of positions, because I really do enjoy those conditions, and having that straight line speed and just being able to just carry the momentum through the corners, I knew we could actually achieve something, and that is a really good result. And with more upgrades to come as well, then hopefully we can achieve something similar in the dry later on in the season. But you can see 5th place here, and Vettel, I don't know, he actually fell back to 9th, so he had something happen to him, must have had damage or something. But 5th place from P11, as Raikkonen wins from P13, so he was 2 positions behind us and won, so well done to him. But you can see by our lap times, I felt we actually deserved to be in that 5th place purely on pace as well. I think we did enough to actually do that, so a really good result here. Hopefully you enjoyed that race as much as I did, and next race is going to be Spain, I believe, which is probably my favourite track on the game for sure. So hopefully you're enjoying this series. Thank you so much for the advice and feedback. Any more advice on the upgrades, please let me know. But catch you next time. Cheers.
Hit 'em.